Yo, what's
Wow.
up? It's your boys. We on the podcast. That's Matt.
That's Eli.
We had some coffee. A little bit. Did it
A
help?
little bit. I mean, maybe to some extent, but like my coffee was really bad.
His coffee was terrible. It was the worst coffee ever. Okay, not the worst coffee ever.
No, it's just if you don't like plain unsweetened coffee.
It tasted like gas station coffee with a little bit of caramel and chocolate.
Yeah, the sad part is there was a lot of caramel and chocolate, and it still didn't help.
It's like you took like a glass of coffee, watered down coffee, and like sprinkled some caramel fudge.
Yeah.
Caramel and fudge like juice. So what did I?
Sprinkles?
Like no, not the sprinkles, but like the stuff you put on ice cream.
Yeah, like
And you, like
shavings.
the syrup too.
Okay, sorry.
Like, and you put that in there. It was kind of gross. It was kind of eh. But I got the alternative, which was much better.
Yours tasted like really nice.
Yeah, he got the one that was actually called the coffee. It was like, was it caramel turtle coffee?
Yeah, it was.
We just went for snacks at like McDonald's with his wife and my brother.
The reason that I thought mine would be better is because I've went with the macchiato before. Like I've had one from Starbucks that looked really nice, like the one you were getting tonight.
Yeah.
And I was like, I bet it'll be good way back when I ordered it. And sure enough, the Starbucks one was like really bitter and unsweet.
Yeah, I've tried macchiatos before and they haven't been great, but this one is good.
So I was like, I'm not going to roll with the macchiato. I'll stick with the sure thing.
Yeah, I was going to go with what you were getting, but then you're like, I want that.
Sure enough.
It was the
I ended
worst
up
one.
with the bad one this time.
So if you go to McDonald's and get some coffee, get the macchiato one.
Don't get the coffee.
Don't get the one that just says coffee. The iced turtle thing.
Yeah.
It was.
Eh.
Anyways, hi. This is the Basic Podcast. It's 2 minutes in and we feeling great.
Already give you some advice.
Yeah, advice for the week.
Yeah.
Any more advice from the week?
Any more advice? No, not really.
Okay.
Well, I'm trying to think of anything that could have happened to me this week and be like, okay, here's some advice for you guys.
I don't know.
I mean, as far as like my week's gone, I guess best piece of advice to give is stay inquisitive.
Stay inquisitive.
Don't settle until you've got the answers you want to hear.
Yeah. It's a good thing. Well, did I already tell you I'm getting my braces off soon?
No, you haven't told me.
Dude, it's been like 4 years that I've had my braces on, and I'm finally gonna get them off in like the next month or so.
Yeah.
And I'm so happy.
Like, for the most part, I never even, like, we've talked about it before, but I never even noticed
Oh, it's
that
because
you have braces.
It's because it's only when I smile like this that you can tell
Yeah.
that I like, and I try to hide it a lot. I keep my lips over it all the time. But yeah, I had braces on my front 4 teeth, just like the first 4 brackets for
Yeah.
like a good 7 months, when I was like, I don't know, 14, and then I had them off for a while, and then we got our insurance sorted, and then I got all of them on. I've had them on for like 4 years.
Like, as far as, like, that's good. That's good news that you're getting them off.
Oh yeah. I'm ecstatic.
Like, I actually have a story about braces. You may or may not know about it.
Did you have braces?
I guess you don't know. I mean, I may have told you. You might remember, but so like growing up, as far as like my early childhood, I had a bunch of teeth issues. Like kindergarten and whatnot. I was silver. Like I had silver caps for most of my baby teeth. Like they were that kind of jacked up, you
Mhm.
know. So, and then I got I lost them over time and started getting my adult teeth in. And, I actually went to the dentist regularly, or my family made me go at least once a year.
Yeah.
As a kid. And when I started getting about that age, the dentist was like, at this point, your teeth are only getting worse. They're getting more crooked. You're going to end up with really crooked teeth. You're going to need to get braces.
Mm.
And I'm not one to really trust the advice, even the advice of a professional. I'd rather take my own word into account than theirs.
Yeah.
For worse or better, sometimes better. But so I was like, I don't really trust you. So I told my parents, I don't really want to do that. I don't think he's right. Let's just see how they come out, because they hadn't really been that bad at the point. They weren't as good as they are now, I'd say. But I don't know if you would say that I have like straight teeth. I mean, what do you like?
They look pretty straight to me, but then again, I'm no orthodontist.
They're pretty straight, aside from the two front are.
So you didn't get braces?
No.
Okay.
They're a little bit, out compared to.
So you have an overbite where the top teeth are further over?
The two middle top teeth are a little bit out from the others, but overall I'd say my teeth they're pretty good, I think. So I got this pitch like, oh, I'm going to have these terrible teeth, and I was like, I disagree. So I actually spent a lot of time, this is something I did, because the thought was, braces are kind of just over time forcing it into a pattern, right?
Yeah.
Like a mold. So with school and stuff, when I was in school, I would just take, any like free time, and I'd take my fingers and I'd like
push on them. Yeah.
I'd physically like push really hard to try and even out my teeth.
Yeah.
And I actually think it ended up helping me a lot.
It definitely helped, because even though I have braces, like things would happen when like between like in the month when before I go back.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't go and like talk to them about it. I wouldn't call and be like, hey, emergency with my teeth, because it wasn't, that big a deal. They'd probably be like, oh, this, and they'd fix it. Because my orthodontist is an hour away, I wasn't going to go to them with every single little thing that happened.
Yeah.
So I would, like, literally, if I noticed that my braces were pushing something where it wasn't supposed to go, I would sit there and push on it every once in a while, every 2 days, and push it back where it needs to be.
So, yeah, that gave me a lot of distrust for the dentist overall, because I was pitched this kind of horrendous outcome that didn't happen. It's kind of where the start of me just distrusting systems in the first place began.
I mean, I don't trust my orthodontist, to be fair. I mean, I like the people there, but I can tell that they want me to stay around for, because as long as I'm around, they're still getting money from my insurance.
Yeah.
So
that's the thing. Like, a lot of things like are self-serving, even if they're not intended to be, right? It's kind of like, you've got a small, maybe even close to non-existent issue, but you came to me with this issue, and I'm a professional, so obviously there's work to be done. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because people naturally want to be like, well, I do this for a living, so obviously
I'd know if there's a problem or not.
Yeah, and obviously we can do this and this to make it better, whether it's worthwhile or not.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, all in all, don't just take it at like what they say is absolute truth, because it's not always. It's really not.
I figured that out. I guess you could say the hard way. Because half the time I'm listening to them tell me what what needs to be done with my teeth. I'm like, that's bullshit. I don't need that.
Well, I've figured it out. I think everyone figures it out the hard way. That's one of those lessons that doesn't just come easy.
Yeah.
You don't just assume people are full of it.
Not usually, no.
And I mean, like, even for like adults, like as a parent, you're gonna want the best for your kid. And as far as that's concerned, you're gonna usually take the advice of a professional, right?
Yeah.
Even if it may turn out that, hey, that wasn't the right outcome.
They weren't an actual professional.
Yeah. So.
Yeah.
So it kind of plays both ways. It can get pretty annoying, but I find a lot of times now I feel like it's getting worse with doctors and dentists and just overall professionals not really knowing what's best for the person.
Yeah, I mean, because a lot of cases are just different.
Yeah.
Like, they can't know everything, so even if they do mean, even if they do have good intentions, they're not going to know everything and know everything for each case.
This actually brings up a good argument for me. So I noted, like, I know people that are on one side of the spectrum, and I know people on the other, and I try to kind of like find a balance. But so some people have a strong mind over matter belief.
Yeah.
Like, let's say someone says there's something wrong with you. Some people might go, well, that's the opinion, but I know that if I do these things for myself, it'll go away on its own.
Yeah.
Like, there are people who believe you can, eat healthy enough to get rid of cancer or pray away cancer.
Yeah.
And there are also those who will go, oh, this person, one person said this, it's an absolute, and we have to do these practical things to fix it. And each has their own set of delusions.
Yeah.
Right? Like, each can be delusional.
I mean, because if you do have to do those practical things, well, whatever, there's still a mindset you have to make yourself be, doing the healing process anyways.
Yeah.
So, and then even like if you're strictly doing the if I believe it'll get better, it will. I mean, well, yeah, but if you don't do anything, then it could also not work.
It could also not work. But with this in mind, okay, so being positive is considered like a plus to health, right?
Yeah.
Having a positive mentality and being less depressed, more serotonin, more, being upbeat about life in general has a positive aspect on health in every regard. A lot of people would say that. So, is being realistic ever worth it?
Yeah.
You think?
Yeah.
What if the reality is bleak?
You can still be positive and know the reality. Like, you don't have to be sad and downtrodden and all this about the reality. Like, you could be like, yeah, I'm going to have to live with this the rest of my life, but, if I can, it's funny because Shema had a similar aspect with his, he had leukemia.
Yeah.
Which is a cancer, and he was like, hooray, I have cancer, because if I'm able to cure this in a way, that can be recorded by doctors, and anybody that has leukemia of the same kind will be able to, get better from it. And so he was like happy about it, but also, there was also his religious side of it, which was, hooray, I'll be able to go through these trials and get stronger, kind of thing. So, I mean, you can be happy even though you're sick.
You can. I'm not. Certain people can. You can't say everyone. Right?
I mean, there are some people who are just
not everybody's Shema.
Yeah, I know.
Not everybody's that strong.
Yeah.
So the real question is, I mean, as far as like, let's say you're not that person. You can't just say, here's something bad. I can have a positive outlook, right?
Yeah.
Is it more beneficial for you to accept the reality, the bleak reality, and what comes with that?
Or be in denial?
Or convince yourself in an untruth to boost your overall stigma about the situation? This is a question I've thought of.
I think it might
many
depend
times
on like the specific situation.
Yeah.
But I think for an overall thing, yeah, I think it depends on the outcome. Because if you're for sure gonna die in 2 days, it might be good to.
So you're for sure gonna die in 2 days. What's better? To tell yourself, you know what, this is a lie. It's not gonna happen.
Oh.
And it won't.
I mean, I'm not.
What's your better chance of survival? Saying it's not going to happen, or saying I'm going to die in 2 days?
Oh, knowing it's gonna happen, but accepting it.
But let's say you don't accept it.
you're probably not gonna enjoy those last few days.
But what if that person lives and the person who accepts it dies? Then what?
I don't know, Matt. It's too late for this.
I'm just think about
what time is it? Is it 9?
Yeah, around that. Think about the medical cases. You've heard the stories. We've all heard this once. The doctors told me I'd never walk again.
Yes.
What about those people out there that walked again? Do you think they believed they'd never walk again?
I think they did, yeah.
I don't think they did.
Really?
Maybe the first day or two. But after that, you know what they convinced themselves of?
That they could walk again.
Not just that they could walk again, but that they couldn't walk again was a lie.
Hmm.
Do you see what I'm getting at here?
Yeah, I think so.
That sometimes success can be based off an untruth.
Sometimes success is based off of you spiting something.
To some degree.
Yeah. I mean, that's most of my success. It's just like, you told me I can't, so I'm going to.
Yeah. I mean, I think about it a lot. Like, is it truly ever worth it to be realistic about?
I think it's okay to be realistic about it, but to a point.
To a point.
Yes. Like, you're not just going to be like, everything's fine and I'm in Candyland as your legs cut off.
Yeah.
Yeah. But, like, you're going to need to accept the situation to a point. Like, you're going to be like, okay, I know I've got a problem. You're not going to be like, oh, I don't have a problem, because not meeting that on reality is just stupid.
I don't argue with you that it's stupid. It's definitely stupid. And as far as being a more fulfilled 360 type person, like someone who's got the whole ballpark, you know, mentally, you want to go with the realistic perspective. Like, yeah, I can do this, but there's definitely a bleak reality around me.
Yeah.
Those people are going to be more intelligent, for sure. However, you can see it, and there's real life examples of people who have beaten the odds and been successful, who are completely ignorant to the fact of reality and loss. Like Donald Trump is a prime example. He's completely ignorant to the reality of loss.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know him personally, so I couldn't say for sure, but it seems like he is.
He literally, his persona is the one of absolute win, fact, and victory.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
Is that the epitome of the successful mentality? Because success doesn't necessarily equal intelligence.
No. You can be lucky.
You can be lucky. I mean, Conor McGregor got his butt beat in that fight with Floyd Mayweather, but do you think he ever believed he was going to lose? I can honestly say I don't think he ever believed he would lose.
Mm-mm.
And it wasn't, and sure he lost, but he made more money than any fighter in the UFC ever did. Ever. And do you think that he always had that mentality? That's what got him to where he was.
Yeah.
And no, he's not the smartest person alive, but
I think the thing about doing stuff like that with, like, you know how they say, like, you got to trick your brain. People who jump off of high dives, they go, you know, like, they basically have to trick their brain into saying, you know, it's not that high, you know, and just jump. And, like, tricking yourself is a way to do that, to boost your own confidence and, you know, not see that reality. And I think it's healthy to do so in most occasions. Okay. But, like, you still know that high dive is really high.
Yeah.
And you still know that if you land wrong, you could really hurt something.
Yeah.
And it's like, but you're temporarily being like, you're ignoring the fact, but only to a point.
Yeah. I think about it, like, there's also other, like, think about professional athletes for sure in this regard. Like all the professional athletes you watch on TV that you know by name, these are people who, when they were growing up, were facing 1,000,000 to 1 odds that they'd ever be where they're at. Every single one of them. LeBron James' chances of being LeBron James are slim to non-existent.
Yeah.
That's just a fact. So,
I mean, his name would always have been LeBron James. But
yes. But the person we know him as, the world-famous basketball player, who's top of the game, I mean, the chances of him ever being that person are you can't even describe how rare that is.
Yeah.
So, with those dreams that he had as a kid of being an NBA player, was it ever worth him to be like, the chances of this are 1,000,000 to 1 at least? I mean, who am I to ever think that
No,
I would get there?
Yeah. It's not worth thinking, oh, yeah, I'll never get there, so why try? Like, that's never helped anyone.
And then there's the middle mentality of, I'm going to continue the pursuit of this dream knowing the odds are against me.
Yeah.
Realistically looking at it. And then there's the third option. I will be this person, and no matter the odds, they mean nothing. It will happen. Who's the most likely to succeed? Like what?
Probably the most determined one.
I would argue the third one.
Yeah.
So it's a balance.
I think that this is the question that a lot of people ask all the time and try to deal with, and that's why so many different personalities have problems trying to get, where they're at, trying to be successful. And being successful is in itself a weird definition, because you can be successful in, who you're trying to be successful to. And, what is success is a big question too. But I think that is a question people ask a lot, because, I know, that if I'm just like, oh, I'm not going to do that because the odds are too high. I'm just going to be here in this little ball for the rest of my life, and I'm never going to be doing anything. So I'm going to be like, okay, I'm going to try, even though, it's probably not going to be the greatest outcome for me.
Yeah.
But then there's, being the third one, which is, I want to be LeBron James. That's not who I am.
Yeah.
Because I don't think I could be like, oh, I'm going to be the greatest guitar player in the world and then be, the greatest guitar player in the world. I don't know that I could. But if I wanted to, I'm sure I could be that person. But
I'm a strong sider with the third mentality. I mean, and I'm a realist as well. Like, so there's always that battle in me between the two.
Yeah.
But I mean, like Stephen Hawking, when he was diagnosed with the muscular dystrophy or whatever.
Yeah.
He had 2 years of life expectancy. He went on to be one of the world's most famous,
I will be the best
scientist of all time, completely immobilized. Not to mention, when it happened to him, the technology available at the time was severely limited compared to today.
Yeah.
I mean, can you imagine, like, I don't remember the age he'd at 60-something?
When he died?
His age.
Wasn't he he was 70-something, wasn't he?
Yeah, so let's say 40-ish years ago. Think about how dated things were, right? Yeah. Imagine that happening to you then. It's insane, but he kept going despite the odds.
I wonder if he was like, I will be the best theoretical physicist. He was 76.
I may not argue that he thought that, but I would argue that he thought, I'm not going to die.
Yeah.
Like, so what?
He probably, like the kind of personality I imagine that he has would have been, I still have work to do.
Yeah.
Kind of thing. And like, I'm not dying as long as this, and I've seen people do that. Like, people do that in movies where they're like, they're not going to give up until this thing's done,
Exactly.
And like I think that is like a realistic thing though. Like people will do that.
Yeah. I try to incorporate that into most of the things I do.
You're not gonna give up until it's done.
Yeah. And even if win or lose, I'm gonna continue the mentality that winning is inevitable. That kind of thing.
Is that why you have so many Fortnite wins?
Yeah. Yes, actually. It is.
It's not just Fortnite though. Gotta win at life.
When I see that guy with the 20-story fort at the end and it's just me behind a tree, I don't say he's got me. I say, I'm gonna find a way.
I say, you know what? I've got him.
He's the one. Yeah, exactly.
He gone.
And it happens sometimes, it really does. You can win even against the odds.
You can. It's all up here in your head.
So actually, I'd asked Phil for some questions on this pod.
Oh, you did?
Yeah. And
Does Phil watch this?
Yeah.
Oh, hi Phil. Phil is our friend who is at work with us. Also, is he in your everyday life at all?
What do you mean?
Like, do you see him outside of work?
I mean, yeah, a decent bit.
I mean, I got to see him today, but
like I'm gonna see him tomorrow.
Yeah.
I mean, I seen him a few weeks ago. We went hiking.
Oh yeah, you guys did.
With Hada, but yeah, so I see him outside of work, and we go to the gym together now.
Oh yeah, I forgot that you're doing the gym thing.
So yeah,
you're trying to beat his
personal record.
His personal record.
And guess what? The chances slim.
Yeah, they had this big argument because Matt's like, I'm gonna beat your personal record. What is his record?
They're high numbers.
Wasn't it like 300 pounds? On just
depending on so like I know one of them specifically, but and the other two roughly. So for someone his body weight and size, I'm not gonna lie, his numbers are very, very up there.
They're high.
They're high.
Yeah.
Like his deadlift is 485. His squat is 380 something. I want to say.
I don't underestimate his lifting stuff because he's been doing lifting since since he's been in the firefighter stuff, right?
So yeah.
And he went into that after he lived in my house, so.
And yeah,
I've known him doing
his
that
body,
for a while.
like his upper body is pretty cut. His arms and chest are.
Yeah.
Pretty cut, but as far as the numbers he's getting, like they're crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Like I'd expect those numbers from somebody bigger than him.
So you were telling him that you are gonna get to the point that you can beat his personal record?
Yeah.
Like just overall or in specific?
In each one, the three: the squat, deadlift, and bench. Those three.
There you have it.
I mean, first off, I realized some limitations that I had in the first week of doing it that I hadn't thought about. I mean, it had been so long since I've come into contact with them. So one of the first ones was I've always had a left shoulder nerve, it's just like a little
like
pinch.
If it gets pinched, it hurts really bad?
It feels like a pinched nerve kind of situation, and the deadlift definitely brings it out.
I hate nerve pain because I had this big thing happen to me where it was like I would get really hot and it would the pain would go up into my scalp and then at one point it would just shoot up my back and I was just in pain, trying to breathe for like 2 minutes.
Yeah.
And it would happen so often. It happened the last year or the year before and I was just in so much pain. I hate nerve stuff. It drives me nuts.
So I've got that. It's something that I'm doing the lifts. Like I can do a decent lift without incurring the pain. Mm-hmm. But I definitely think testing my limits, it's gonna factor in. But I'm ready for that at this point.
Yeah.
But those are some things that set me, like, I'm thinking, okay, well, that's gonna be somewhat of an issue.
Yeah. But you're at number 2 right now. You're like, odds are against me, but I'm going to do it.
Yeah. I mean, another reason I'm doing it isn't just to beat the PR. It's being thirsty for, like, needing something to win at.
Yeah. Fortnite's not doing it.
Well, I've talked about, like, this before, but, like, a lot of the things that I've wanted to do good in or win at, I've already done. And I don't really have anything else to win at. And then you just get out of the mentality of being a winner. So you're just like, oh, I'm just a lazy person now.
All I do is win, no matter what.
So then you're like, what can I do next that's gonna inspire me? And this is like, okay, I'll do this.
Yeah.
So that's one of the reasons I'm working out regularly now.
So Phil is his mortal enemy.
Not mortal enemy.
No. So what was his questions?
So yeah, I was gonna get to that, but he essentially, Phil being Phil, he asked the same questions again, aside from one.
Okay, so all the questions we've answered of his already, like in the other Q&A and in the vlog pod, he's asked again?
He asked them again.
Phil.
So, but he did ask one question that was new that I liked, and it was
I ought to ask some of my other friends. If you guys have questions, tell me or Matt.
I don't want to like detail it. I'm not sure if it was more or less than this, but it was something like is a system always going to fail eventually?
Is a system, like no matter what system it is?
I mean, I guess I can just go ahead and give up three questions just because it's on my phone and I don't want to get the wrong question, but it's our system. Like, let's say our system's ever worth being in place. Will there ever be a system that doesn't fail? And our systems deteriorating or beneficial? Like those, it's that kind of. It's really a system question.
A system question, but there are 3 system questions and 1 system question.
I think the base question was,
are they even worth it?
will there ever be a system that lasts?
So,
or is a system worth lasting?
Is this in light of our company and us getting a new system?
It is, because, Phil doesn't like it.
Yeah.
So it is oriented towards that. I think that kind of inspired it. I personally, me and Phil are kind of, like, think the same as far as systems are concerned.
So is it asking my opinion for the system then? Is that what we're doing?
Well, I'll give my take on systems, but yeah, you obviously can give yours. And this can actually.
I mean, I wasn't asking for permission.
You can actually go pretty deep on this one because I've got some stuff. But what do you think?
Well, for systems like the are they worth being in place? I mean, yeah, because if we didn't have a system, then we'd be constantly, like with most things, if we didn't have a system, then we wouldn't have a way to do something. And it would just be like, oh, I guess we'll try this, even let's try this from now on is a system. Like if we didn't have the ways to do something, like how to catch a fish, then how would we catch a fish kind of thing? And people have different ways they catch a fish, obviously.
Yeah.
Like they have different poles they'll use or whatever, but each of those ways is a different kind of system.
I mean, you can argue it simply. If it sounds like it's being too stupid, it's not. I definitely agree with you. Yes, there are systems worth having. That's just a given. So.
There are systems worth having.
Yeah.
And whether the system is beneficial or not is how it works. As for it deteriorating, I do think most systems deteriorate. Like simple systems like that, probably not. Like the human body obviously is a system and it deteriorates. And how governments run will deteriorate.
So, can there ever be a system made that doesn't deteriorate?
I mean, it's a pretty wide question because we have so many. Because if you classify a lot of things as a system, then you've got to think about every single thing that's a system. But I don't know. I don't think I live long enough to see through every system to make sure that it works properly.
So I'll go ahead and shoot out
It deteriorates.
some whatever on the whole system aspect. I think a lot of those questions end up becoming full-blown universal origin of existence and life's questions. So I actually end up explaining a lot of that to him with every question he asks. I think this one is no different. And so I'll get to that.
Are you talking about how we were talking about colors and light?
Yeah, no, I actually solved that one. I'm going to tell him on Monday. I figured that one out.
Okay.
However, okay, so systems. So will they always deteriorate? So you can argue in placement of, I mean, the whole order of life and existence is a system. Atoms are a system. Molecules, a system.
I mean, in a way, you could say so far.
Yeah.
It's worked.
The universe and galaxy is a system, I mean, by some design, whether it's, God or a random cosmic event, it's a system. That's unarguable.
Well, they take the solar system, for example.
Yeah.
So far, it's been, a system that's worked.
Yeah.
And we know that, the sun's eventually going to expand and consume, the first 3 planets' orbits. Yeah. At least that's our theory or whatever. So
well,
we know that it's going to deteriorate.
Eventually, the sun will be gone altogether.
Yeah.
And it'll either be one of the many or a few aspects that a sun can turn into, right?
Yeah. And we're pretty sure that the Earth's going to deteriorate as an ecosystem.
So those systems will fail. But a grand system is a system of balance. And just because something is destroyed doesn't mean it's not part of the system, right?
Mm.
So you know how people, scientists, I'm sure you've heard if you're into all that space stuff, but the universe is still expanding, right?
Yeah.
So it's still expanding. Things are still being created. There's a balance to things in nature and elements. But they don't know because some people argue the universe will actually overexpand and collapse. Have you heard that theory?
I haven't explored that one.
Okay, so it's argued by some scientists that while we are expanding, there'll come a point where we actually start reverting and the universe starts getting smaller, compacting, until it kind of turns into a massive implosion type situation.
Do they say that the implosion will happen much quicker than the expansion?
Yeah, they think it will. So that's an argument, right? So the whole universe and everything that we know and can see could be a decaying system to some degree.
It could be. The thing about systems is you don't know it's over until it's over.
So, but even then, that's even as far as can the universe coming into creation and then going away not be considered a system as well, a universal system?
Yeah.
It could be. So that all plays in.
You okay, Matt?
Yeah.
I waved at him to go away.
I thought it was Andrew.
No. Okay.
So you've got all that, and I think that you factor that in. I mean, I think at the end of the day, a system is in place for everything.
Yeah. And whether or not it deteriorates, we just have to wait till it's done.
Yeah. As for human system, this gets into an order debate we had, but so the normal system is the dominance hierarchy system of kill and be killed in evolution, right?
Yeah.
And the better species wins and whatnot, but when you put humans into the equation, they don't have to subscribe to the same hierarchy of kill and be killed evolution because they have a thinking mind.
Yeah.
And they can create their own systems. Therefore, better systems than what nature has created because we're a product of nature.
Yeah.
So, I mean, man-made systems, though, will always break down.
You think so?
Yeah. If there's a system that can't break down, it won't be man-made.
Yeah. I think so, but at the same time, there's no way to know that a system won't be infinite until it's done.
Until it's done.
Or until it shows signs of deterioration.
Yeah.
So there's that.
If you can't really observe the lifespan of the system, you can't really say realistically that it'll end.
Yeah. Does that answer Phil's question?
Yeah, I think it answers it. Hopefully that's satisfactory.
The other thing we were talking to Phil about was Phil was saying that color can't exist without the sun. Is that what he said?
Didn't he saying that the sun created color?
And we had a long debate about that.
I found the real answer to it, but since this pod won't be out till Monday, I mean, I guess I could kind of explain it on here.
Explain it. If you're gonna tell him Monday morning.
Yeah.
I mean, we are at 41 minutes.
So we got to did the sun create color? And obviously, objectively, no. I would say I can easily answer no to that, right?
Yeah.
But as with Phil, no's tend to not be enough, and even then, I could present his own question differently to make it my answer, the objective no, be debatable.
Yeah.
So the real question would be, let's say we still exist, like we exist as humans on Earth. Everything's the same. The only difference is the absence of suns, stars from the universe that we perceive. Right?
Yeah, and eventually, that'll cause the Earth to not work properly. So that system will break down.
Let's say there's no suns, no stars, there never were any. There's just everything that we already have with no light. Right?
Yeah.
Do colors still objectively exist on their own? Right? So obviously the human brain can perceive colors and reflect them back to the iris in different, lights and perspectives than other organisms. Like some animals can only see in black and white.
Yeah. But that's because of the cones and rods in their eyes.
Yeah. So, but then that is because of the cones and rods. But can you say that without any light ever, but actual existence as is now, that the colors would exist?
Yeah. If there's no light, the color's still there. We just can't perceive it.
How? I mean, what do you think? Like, how can you say that?
How can I say what?
That. How do you know?
That the color would still be there?
Yeah.
It's like, that would be like turning off the lights and being like, are you still in your room? How could you tell if you're still in your room?
I mean, it seems like the answer is an obvious no, right?
Yeah.
I mean, an obvious the colors still exist.
I mean, obviously the color would still be there.
So, but then there's like, so you know how energy and mass and light are all like cohesives?
Yes.
Like energy equals mass times light speed, that kind of thing.
Yes.
And light rays are, white light is a combination of lighting. All these things factor in, and we got into this huge deep debate. But
so if the light isn't reflecting off of the surface that's bouncing these specific wavelengths back to make me perceive color, then the color isn't there?
That's the consensus by Phil, yes.
So you left Friday or whenever it was with that. Okay, so what's your answer?
Well, I noticed a major hole in the theory that came to me that I'm like, we got so deep into talking about this, I completely
just glazed over it.
Just glazed over it. And it's that even without the light that bounces, off the part, the iris, the perception, even without the light, the properties of the elements, like a wooden table, for instance, they're made of a component of elements, right?
Yeah.
and atoms and molecules. And the light that bounces off it, that reflects the color that you see in your eye, those properties in that substance will always be there, with or without the light.
Yeah. That's why I was saying its color's still going to be there. You just won't be able to perceive it.
By that I mean, even if we don't perceive it the same, even if we were a dog and saw the table as black or gray or white, in those shades, and different species can actually see some can see different colors than we can.
Yeah.
There is a base color to things. Like there's a base refraction or whatever it is.
Refraction.
Yeah, that's coming from these items. So sure, maybe we're not seeing the real color of something.
Yeah.
But the components itself have a base color.
Mm-hmm.
There's no way to dispute that.
Yeah.
Like that's the epiphany. Like the reason that guitar is red and your shoes are white and black.
Yeah.
It's not because the light just dawned them into the color they are.
Yeah.
It's because the components they're made up of have the properties that allow it
to be perceived that way. Yes.
So that's it. That's the answer. The unarguable truth. And I wasn't able to explain that on Friday, but
there it is.
That's it.
There you go, Phil.
There's no way to argue that one.
I was telling him, like, just briefly during that conversation, I was telling him I believe that there's a fourth dimension. You can debate that however way you want. But, like, say, for example, you were saying that, some animals can see different colors. And, even if, the lights are off, that color's still there thing. Like, and you guys use the word tools. Like your eye is the tool you use to see the color, and when it's refracted back, your eye dissects that, and your brain, puts it together. But like, I was saying, like, even for theories like a fourth dimension or, invisible particles, antimatter stuff, we just don't have the tools to see them, kind of thing.
It was a bug.
A bug.
But yeah. What were you saying?
I was just saying, like, we don't have the tools to see this stuff, and that blows my mind sometimes. Like, that stuff can exist, we just don't have the tools to see them.
Yeah. So, yeah,
I should be a scientist.
Make the tools.
Yeah, I'll make the tools to see the fourth dimension. Did you ever watch Interstellar?
Yeah, I watched
That was a
it.
cool
I liked
movie.
it.
Had some similar things about it, but
I think that's about it.
I think that's about it. If you're wondering why Matt
tonight.
jumped earlier, it was because one of the people I know came up to the window, and I was trying to wave him to go away, but he just sat in the window until Matt noticed, and Matt was like, just jumped. I wish he hadn't done that. He could obviously see we were busy.
Yeah, it's a Fagin though.
Okay, well, this has been the Basic Podcast. That's Matt.
That's Eli.
And we'll see you guys next time. Send us questions and stuff so we can get into deep conversations about quantum tunneling or something like that. Bye.